Hello everyone and welcome back to Send It's Christmas Eve special. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 10 to 14 day models, up to 16 days with the GFS, the American model. We'll be taking a look at the GFS, the GEM and the ECMWF to see what the forecast is for the next 10 days. Also quickly run through Christmas to see what the temperatures at the surface could be like for the big day tomorrow. As I'm recording this, it's about 8 o'clock on Tuesday, the Christmas Eve, and we've still got the Christmas app for one final time. Now there may be a video tomorrow on Christmas, but I'm not sure because I'll be spending time with family and friends. So hope you can all appreciate that and I hope you all have a good Christmas. Anyway, on with the chart. So today we'll start with the GFS, and through Christmas Day, as you can see here, we are bringing in a mild southwesterly with some mild air masses into the south. And very mild Christmas Day expected. Temperatures with this are going to 10 or 11 degrees and 12 or 13 in the north of Scotland. However, with an inversion, because it's low resolution, temperatures could reach 14 degrees in the north, especially in this northeastern section of Scotland. I have to obviously watch that out, but it's definitely a possibility. Now, what are things looking like as we head into the longer term? So high pressure continues to dominate as we go through Christmas, between Christmas and the New Year. Low pressure begins to run into the north, trying to introduce colder air masses, and does to some success. You can see all the cold air masses just to our north, very close actually moving to Scotland. And then by the 31st, the heights start to sink to the south. The jet stream sinks southwards, and we start to allow colder air masses from the northwest to encroach, bringing down the -5 line quite widely. Now, something interesting the GFS shows here is this low pressure system running across the south, like a little system here on the 1st of Jan, so on New Year's Day, shows a little system moving across the south, which could be a snow event, and also a system for northern Scotland wrapped in the cold air, which could actually produce a colder snow event. Obviously, the chance of that is very uncertain, but we continue this sort of pattern as high pressure begins to ridge out further in the Atlantic, allowing the jet stream to sink southwards. So low pressure systems run further southwards, and we continue in a cold northerly wind. Now, this low pressure system tries to encroach from the south and does to success eventually. However, this could be a big snow event, as anywhere in the green could actually see snow with this system, and the high pressure continues to be in the Atlantic and a dominant factor. But as this low pressure moves up from the south, could be a snow event, obviously turns back to rain in the south, and then brings back colder air on its back edge. Then the high pressure ridges back out again into the Atlantic, so a sustained pattern. Obviously it goes milder for a few days, but the cold air sinks back southwards again, and the high pressure sits over the top of the country. So overall, pretty cold run there. Obviously the synoptics would not be like that most likely on the days especially after day 10, but it's just something to monitor in the longer term. If we have a look at the GM in comparison, very similar for the next 2 days. Actually, it allows more colder air masses to sink into Scotland in about 5 days' time, so the -5 line does get in. Keeps the milder air in for longer, and a low pressure system runs across Scotland, could produce a minor snow event for the very northern edge of Scotland. And then colder air tries to sink in around the 30th, doesn't quite, and it actually allows the heights to the south are too strong, meaning a southwesterly flow approaches before eventually at the very end of the run. High pressure's weakly in the Atlantic, with a transient northwesterly. Wouldn't last long though before this high pressure looks like it'll topple in and bring back milder conditions. But as you can see, colder air is sinking further southwards, so not very optimistic with the GM. And the ECM, by comparison, is not great either, as the heights are too strong to our southwest towards France and Spain, and allow a southwesterly for the entire run, so an extremely mild start to January. At the very end, it's trying to get the heights towards Scandinavia, but does not successfully, so keeps the milder air in. Let's have a look at the AIFS, which is the ECM AI-generated run. Very similar for the next few days, however, at the 31st, actually does sink the heights further southwards, trying to bring in colder air. This low pressure does run in from off the Atlantic on that northwest-southeast alignment. As you can see here, the high pressure centred towards in the Atlantic, more towards Greenland, which is sinking the jet stream further southwards. We're on the cold side of the jet, and low pressure systems are ridging in from the Atlantic. However, as they move out to our east, that probably on the back edge allows a colder northerly pattern. Now, if we have a look at what it shows, it does on the back edge bring in a colder northeasterly, allowing colder air masses to sink in. So there, the ECM is showing, the ECMAIFS, the highest accuracy model, is showing a colder period of weather. High pressure begins to move towards Scandinavia and eventually does get to Scandinavia, bringing in some quite cold air from the east at the very end. Obviously a long way off and hard to verify, but that is the potential with this pattern. High pressure does bridge out to our north and east and brings in a cold easterly wind. If we have a look at the ECM scenarios for the 12Z suite, then you can see this is for the 3rd of January with these runs, and I'll move that just a little bit so you can see. High pressure with 23 of them is ridging out in the Atlantic, low pressures to our east, and winds are in from a cold north-northwesterly. 17 have high pressure to the west and low pressure just to our east towards Norway, and winds with that are coming in from the north. However, heights are still strong to our south, bringing more of a southwesterly flow in, potentially more for the south though. Most of the air is probably from a cold northerly for much of the country. Then we've got 11, which is the begrudged option, which has high pressure to the west and Atlantic ridge. High pressure is, however, still to our south, probably bringing in a milder southwesterly wind, and that's including the control and the operational. If we have a look at day 16 or day 14, which is 360 hours for the 8th of January, 19 have high pressure just to the north, and around that comes a northeasterly, probably dry with that. 18 continue with high pressure to our east, bringing in a mild southwesterly, probably quite mild and dry. And then 14 have a properly cold system with high pressure properly towards Greenland, blocking with low pressure to the east, bringing in a colder north to northeasterly. There's a lot of options there, but the potential definitely is there for a colder spell of weather. Now, this is the ECM chart for the 30th to the 30th of December to the 1st of to the 6th of January. So that first week of January where we've been analysing, and it is showing most of the country either no signal for the southwest and south, but then for the rest of the UK and into Ireland, below average temperatures. Potentially it's there. Now, I've just brought up the GFS 12Z, and as you can see for Birmingham there, the temperatures are above average at the moment, in fact very mild for Christmas Day there, dropping, however, eventually at around the 30th of December, and actually going quite cold with a lot of these runs, some of them clustering around the -5 line, many of them clustering around the -5 line, between the 1st and the 5th of January. And even in the long term, the temperatures do not recover much above average. This is the red line, obviously it ends at 2025, but it would go something like this, you'd expect, so it actually does remain below the average for the entirety of the run. Compare that to the ECMWF charts. They haven't come out fully yet, but you can see that the trend is broadly similar. As it reached the 1st of January, the runs go slightly, not as strongly, but slightly below average, with some clustering around the -5 line between the 1st and the 3rd of January. So there's definitely the potential there. If we have a look at the mean sea level pressure anomalies being shown by the ECMWF for that week as well, from the colder than average temperatures, you can see that the ECM is still indicating a high pressure system blocking in the Atlantic, with low pressure to our east, bringing in a cold northeasterly, and heights are much lower towards Italy there, so the southwesterlies are actually going into France, and we're on the cold side of the air, bringing in a cold northeasterly wind there. Something to watch out for though, definitely. Still think that we will see a cold snap at least between the 1st and the 5th of January. I think that's the main period, but it could last longer. A lot of these models do revert way too quickly back to milder conditions, especially once cold gets in. But obviously there could be chopping and changing. We're still a week or two, week and a bit away. So a lot of messing around to be done, and the models will flip-flop, but we'll keep an eye on it as it is. But if this is my last video, then I hope you all have a good Christmas. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know of any criticisms and improvements I can make in the comments of this video. And I thank you all for the support over the last few months of the year with this content. We're already up to 500 subscribers, on the way to 600. 1,000 next year? We'll have to wait and see. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next weather video. Merry Christmas!